You ever been around someone where when you're with them, it's as if you have all the joy and the happiness in the world, but for some reason, when they leave or you leave their presence, you start to feel this great sorrow and this remorse almost. That's someone that's possessed by a demon. You better believe it, because the Jezebels that I've met, the narcissists that I've seen, they are people that give off this air of enjoying their life. They want to be doing all the things that you want to be doing because they're trying to mirror certain things about you to get you to like them. They have no personality of their own. They're the kinds of people that make sacrifices for their long terms, like the long term goals that they have, the long term people that are in their life. They're going to make certain choices that if they can possibly get a benefit or an upgrade, even just for a short time, these people will betray you. And God gives you these kinds of people in your life. I mean, you can think about these people that carry the vessels of demonic energy as the enemy, because they are. And you might ask yourself, well, why exactly does God give me enemies? Why is it the case that in Matthew here, Jesus says, "But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." That's Matthew 5:44. Well, why does he say that? What exactly? How in the world are we supposed to love our enemies? Well, sometimes free will makes the choice of goodness become great, because you also have the choice to do evil. Every other person on this planet, whether they know it or not, has the free will to choose good or evil. And so when you choose to do good, that goodness becomes greatness. Okay? And so in that becoming of greatness, you get certain qualities of life that are given unto you to make you stronger. And that's exactly why God is giving you enemies. Is not only does God give you the enemies so that you can become stronger, he gives you the enemies so that you can become wiser as well. It's about knowing even deeper why goodness as a choice is going to be more profitable to your soul in the long run, opposed to the apparent short-term ramifications and quote-unquote benefits or perks of the moment. Because that's what these people, the enemy bases itself, like Luciferian kind of tactics, are based off of very, very short-term goal setting, and they will do anything to get those short-term. They don't know how to think long-term. And have you ever noticed some of these people, for both men and women out here, if you're dating somebody and you start to set boundaries and you start to expose this person for a narcissist, and they cannot take accountability. They do not know how to take accountability. They just completely deflect it, and they don't know what to do apart from just deflection, because it's literally and physically uncomfortable for them to take accountability for their actions. Well, what happens is that you cannot tell these people how to take accountability. The people that will listen to you and be like, you know what, maybe that is, maybe that is on me. Maybe that is on me. Or they can make a fair argument. Well, maybe I was being a little bit this way, but not that way. they'll be able to reason with you. But these kinds of narcissistic individuals and Jezebels and any kind of demonic entity that has possessed somebody, there's no reason with these kinds of people. And so if you encounter somebody that cannot be reasoned with, you might disagree, and you can agree to disagree, that's fine. But if you can encounter somebody that cannot even agree to disagree, that's a sign of some kind of demonic entity possessing that person, whether they know it or not. And because some of the narcissists, they know that they're narcissistic. And like, I've had women tell me in the past that, and there was one covert male narcissist that told me as well, that he knew that he was narcissistic and he didn't really care. Like, he wondered why he was so narcissistic, but only because he wanted to just more knowledge. He didn't really care about, why am I narcissistic? He didn't have like the self-reflection to do that. But the very intelligent person, though, very, very intelligent. But that was years ago. But a lot of women have as well have told me that they literally don't care what men are going through. They don't care. And it's very true. And shout out to all of the women that are able to be supportive to the people that they're in a relationship with, or the person they're in a relationship with. Hopefully you're not dating multiple people or having multiple husbands or anything, but you guys get what I'm saying here. And so God will put these people in your life so that you learn how to deal with them. So that, and here's the cool thing as well, is when God says love your enemies, he's saying, I bet that your enemies, you can out spirit them, not in the sense of, oh, I'm so much more spiritual than they are, or I'm so much more powerful, or I'm so much more. It's not about that. That's vanity. That's knowledge that puffs up. Okay? When Jesus says love your enemies, he's saying that you have the power given unto you by the Most High God, that you can win the spiritual fight. Not only does God give you enemies, he believes that you will be able to conquer your enemies. That's cool. And how do you do that? With love. But it's not about loving, and this is where people will misinterpret what I'm saying, and I don't want there to be misinterpretation, but at the same time, it seems like no matter how clear I try to put things, there's going to be somebody that is, oh, well, that doesn't matter. So I'm just going to say things as clear as I can and as succinct as I can, and hopefully you'll understand that this is coming from a place of love. This is not coming from a place of hate or anything like that. The enemies that we're given, because in some ways the choice of good and evil allows us to be good and evil, right? So the people that are choosing iniquity, the people that are choosing to sin and have transgressions and commit transgressions rather, these are the kinds of people that you don't really want near you anyway. Okay, and as an entrepreneur, as somebody that has their own business and has their own things going on, I know for a fact that the enemy, which is Satan himself, but the enemy and in his minions, because it is a legion of sorts, right? Like, it is a legion of darkness that is trying to possess the people. And it is the echo, I do believe, that it is the echo of the war in heaven that is being rippled effect into the physical reality, where spirits can manifest themselves in the bodies of humans who have submitted their will to darkness and to forces of darkness. Why? Because it's like in Star Wars, how Yoda says the the dark side of the force is easier and more seductive. That's exactly where the devil wants you. It's not easy to choose goodness because you have to have immense fortitude of mind to love your enemies. Like, can you imagine trying to love your enemies as much as you do the people closest to you in your life? Talk about a cross to bear, right? Talk about a cross to carry. That's rough. And to love these people that literally do not want to self-reflect, you start to see how there's a line in Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche, which I'm not necessarily going to say that we should adhere to Nietzsche's ideas, but I think a lot of what he had to say was very interesting and insightful. I don't think it was all grounded in truth, though. I think he was almost so philosophical and so smart and so intelligent that, like, it literally, his intelligence drove him mad because he wasn't able to ground himself in God. He was always trying to dismantle God. And if you ever read The Antichrist by Friedrich Nietzsche, he gives a great critique of Christianity, but ultimately I think what he fails at is really identifying what Christ was trying to do. He makes the claim that Christ is almost a masochist because he wants to feel the pain on himself, like he gets a pleasure from the pain of himself. And I don't know if that's necessarily a fair assessment. I disagree with that, but I still think it's a pretty dang good critique. It's the best critique of Christianity I've ever come across, even though I follow Christ. And so anyway, there's a verse or a passage in Thus Spoke Zarathustra where he says that even God has his hell, and it's his love of mankind. And I've always thought about that as a most striking phrase. And the reason is because, well, if God's hell is his love for mankind, then what exactly happened on the cross there? Like, what exactly was Jesus doing on the cross? Was he just so lost in love that it just couldn't, like, he couldn't get certain places? Like, what exactly was that then? If God has his hell and it's his love of mankind, is he saying that Jesus Christ on the cross is the image of God's hell? Because heaven and hell are not just places, but they're states of mind. And I know there will be people that may disagree with that, but a lot of people agree with me because they've been there. The people that know like heaven and hell are not just places, they're states of mind. They've never been to hell. They've never seen the true dark side of reality, as far as I can tell, because you need the dark side. This is again, like, people think spirituality is this blissful rainbows. You know, follow your bliss was the whole Joseph Campbell, I guess you could say, phrase. And I love what Joseph Campbell did, and I think a lot of his work is great as well, but because I've read his books. But I also think that it was a bit too not grounded in actual God. Because what Carl Jung did so well is he demonstrated, a lot of people will say he's lost in the occult, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think he studied it greatly and realized that not only are we particularly prone to idolizing forms or physical objects or even physical beings, we are haunted by these kinds of people and these kinds of idolizations. And when Carl Jung said people don't have ideas, ideas have people, that was a very interesting piece of wisdom to bear, I think, because what Carl Jung is saying, and anybody that's read his Red book, it's the biggest book I've ever read. But like, this is the Red book. It's literally just to show how big it is. I recently started reading it again, and I found the profundity of the book to be alive. You know how in the Bible, the word is alive. The people that are having the eyes to see and the ears to hear, when they read the Bible, it's like wherever you read it, it's almost like it's speaking to you in exactly the way that it needs to at that moment. Like it's exactly the reflection. Like it seems as though God is kind of like a mirror sometimes, in some sense. Like the external world is simply a mirror of the internal and vice versa. And I do think that's true to a large degree, but Carl Jung's works as well in itself, especially his book Ion, this book, he talks about it as the phenomenology of the self, and he talks about Christ as a symbol of the self. And I think what people misunderstand about Carl Jung is that he's not just saying that Christ is just a symbol. He's saying that it's like Christ is the symbol. Like he's not just saying Christ is some idea. He's saying that Christ is the manifested reality version of all of what God represents in man himself, as a man himself. Because Jesus was not just any man, right? He was human. He was also human, but he wasn't just human. And so trying to understand these deep ideas, trying to understand these deep things about why does God give us enemies? It's to make us more wise. It's to make us more aware. And sometimes your enemies are not your enemies are not always who you think they are, and your friends are not always who you think they are. That's why if you learn how to expose people, and if they can be reasoned with, that's likely somebody that is probably not going to betray you down the line. But if somebody is exposed and they don't want to correct themselves, that's an enemy, and you got to move accordingly. So love your enemies, yes, but if you're in a fight, hello, you've got to fight. And speaking of it, we're doing the fast right now. I'm going to have one more meal after this video, and then I'm going to start my 72-hour plus fast. I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm going to go a minimum of 72 hours. I know that. But we're doing another fast for the Regal Change Academy. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, we're having a special event call on Thursday for everybody in the paid community. And we also have the free Discord available, and that has a bunch of different kinds of free resources. But the paid community, we're having 2 weekly Bible study sessions per week now, as well as a weekly congregation call. And that has been really, really cool to see everybody blossom. And the whole community itself has gone through a lot of transformations over the past few weeks, and especially since the last fast that we did. It's why I chose to call for another fast so quickly. Originally, I was going to not even have another fast for another few months, but because of the things and the events that have transpired, I called for another fast. And I don't think it's any coincidence that so many people are going through spiritual attacks right now, especially people that are choosing to fast. I've had people that aren't even in the Regal Change Academy that are reaching out that said that they participated in the fast and they're experiencing some very high-level spiritual attacks. And it's like, well, look anywhere in the Bible here, and you'll see that fasting casts out demons. So the demons are going to try to force you into not being disciplined. The demons are going to try to force you into not being who you're really capable of being, because they don't want to see you succeed. They don't want to see you propel yourself forward and really make positive changes in your life. So with all that being said, the links are in the description box below if you do want to join the Regal Change Academy. I want to appreciate everybody that's been moving from YouTube as well as over to X and Rumble and Instagram. I appreciate your guys' extra support. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Till next time.